So on the 4th of July, which is Independence Day, there was another mass shooting in Chicago. It's just a regular occurrence now. I mean, don't you feel desensitized to it? I certainly do. A gunman perched on a rooftop has opened fire on families waving flags and children riding bicycles during an Independence Day parade near the US city of Chicago, killing at least 6 people and wounding 36 others. Now, we've got some footage of the shooting. Now, there's nothing particularly graphic about the actual videos, but it's still distressing. So, content warning. Take a look.
Get on this side, Gino.
So obviously you can see it's absolutely harrowing pictures of children whilst there is gunshots in the background. Now the suspect has been identified as 22-year-old Robert E. Creme III. Now the last time I covered a mass shooting, it was in Buffalo, and I talked about the role of the media, in which they pushed far-right conspiracy theories, especially on Fox News. This particular mass shooting, and well, many other mass shootings, aren't always down to racism. So this video, I want to talk about the structure of corporations and government. Now, each time a mass shooting happens, people send their thoughts and prayers. People cry out for some form of gun control. Now, universal background checks is supported by majority of Americans. In fact, 77% of Republican voters support background checks, meaning that regardless of politics, this is an issue everyone can agree on. So, why don't the laws reflect that? Why hasn't there been significant protections for the public? Short answer, profit. So this is just the capitalist system. This is just profit over human lives because it's just an ordinary function of the system. Now, specifically, the NRA, the National Rifle Association, is the largest gun rights advocate in the country. Now, they describe themselves as America's longest standing civil rights organization. Now, in reality, they're just a corporate lobbying group. The sole focus of the NRA isn't about freedom. It's not about protecting the Constitution. They are a group that wants to maintain power and profit for their corporate backers. But you got to spend money to get some back, and that is exactly what the NRA does. In 2019, the NRA spent $1.6 million lobbying Congress against laws that would implement universal background checks, and in total, the gun lobby spent over $15 million lobbying US lawmakers. You can see how it works. A mass shooting happens. People call on for restrictions. The NRA lobby the government to push back on it, and it just becomes a vicious cycle. Now, do you want to know the most sick thing about this? Share prices increased after the Uvalde shootings. Take a look at this graph. Weapons manufacturer Sturm Ruger had their stock price increased by 6.6% since May, and a 12% increase for Smith and Wesson. Now, people get scared. What happens after a mass shooting? Well, actually, a lot of people buy guns. So you've got weapons manufacturers, you've got the NRA, who are happy that a mass shooting happens because their profit increases. They don't care about human lives because it's all about money. Laws are not passed for the people, but for corporate interests. Now, funny enough, in the US, a study from Princeton University has essentially proved that the US is an oligarchy. Now, we all really knew that anyway, let's be honest. And we know that the US isn't the only place. And, well, thankfully, mass shootings aren't a problem here, but corporate lobbying is. According to Abians, the assistant professor at the European Institute of London School of Economics, UK governments have refrained from intervening in the private sector. They enable ever greater business access to public authority and revenue. She argues that successive policies have led to corporate state capture. Now that's bang on, because if neoliberalism has taught us anything, it showed us that governments will not meaningfully intervene in the economy when it's needed, but will allow corporations to interfere with governments. Now, Greenshill is a perfect example which corporations and governments are intertwined, leaving no room for accountability. Now, David Cameron lobbied on behalf of the finance firm, pressuring government ministers to take on many of their contracts. Now, of course, Greenshill collapsed and the issue was exposed, but it shouldn't have taken a business to fail to uncover corporate lobbying. But it does prove that many in our government don't have societal interests, only personal and financial gain. Now, on the surface, what we have is another awful mass shooting, and there are many causes of such horrific events. But the root cause is corporate interference, it's government corruption, it's profiteering that are driving these forces. The blame, the enemy in this, is our political system. In order to stop corporate capture of our government, we need strong, independent media. Support the Canary today so we can continue to speak truth, powered by you.